Do. Paying attention every time I read a book. Hi, James from engVid. I had a question from a great student of mine. I'm just going to put his name up here. So Mauricio, my AV guy. When I teach, yeah, so AC, he's my AV guy. He always helps me with the audio-visual. Thanks, Mauricio. He's from Mexico, and I appreciate the work you've done with me. So anyway, this video is from Mauricio. One day he asked me, what's the difference between each and every? It seems quite simple, but there are little differences that even a native speaker may not be able to express to you because it's so natural for us that we know, but we don't know how to actually say. So let's go to the board and take a look. So as you can see with Mr. E, he said each, and he's talking about his hands here, and whole within his body. Now he didn't say all body, but whole body or entire. And let's go to the board and find out why. Now one of the first things we're going to look at is, well, where are we? Let's talk about the big pack. If you look, we got Pac-Man over here. So it's like a pizza with a slice taken out of it. So this is a piece and this is the whole thing. When we talk about the word whole, we talk about the complete unit. So we're talking about all of this. I use the word all. We talk about it as a unit. We're not breaking it into pieces. We see it as one thing. So we're talking about 100%, and we use it for countable nouns. The whole apple, the whole pizza, the whole room. We see it as one thing. We use another word to be a little bit more formal, you might say in English, when we go with the word entire. The entire room, the entire apple. We can use it for an exclamation or to formalize it. It is the same meaning as whole, but a formal one. So you can imagine me wearing a jacket and a tie, being formal, or like this. This would be whole. And if I was wearing my tie and jacket, wish I had one now, that would be entire. So it talks about the 100%, it's for countable nouns, and we talk about the whole unit. So I said countable nouns, and you might be thinking, okay, great, but what happens if I have things like water or salt? Things that cannot be counted, or money. That's when we talk about, or we use all. All does almost the same thing as whole or entire. It talks about things as a unit, but we get to use this extra power of the uncountable. All of the water in the room, all of the salt, all of the money, right? Then we can say all of the people. People are countable. So it's a very flexible use, right? So this is more common, but when you want to make your language a little bit more interesting, we use whole, but whole would be for the countable, while all could be used for almost anything, all right? So if you notice, I've gone from the circle of going 1, 2, and we've talked about this whole thing or the entire thing. What happens when you want to talk about pieces of a thing? I'm a human being. I have arms. I have legs. I have ears and eyes. My whole body is all of these things together. But I have different parts to this, or of my body. We're going to look at two other words, every and each, and talk about why would we say every sometimes and each? What's the difference? Just as in all and whole there is a difference, there's a difference in usage for these things. So let's start with every. Every time I think of you, I always catch my breath. Now when I'm saying that every time I think of you, I am talking about a group of things. But in this case, I'm not just talking about it as one unit. I'm talking about parts of it, okay? So I'm talking about things in a group that are similar. There's a similarity to them. My thoughts are similar. They're not different thoughts. They're almost exactly the same. Every time I think of you, each thought is done. And if you notice, the squares are all about the same. So it's the same type of thought. So I focus on the group, but I focus on the similarity of the things. That's why we usually say everyone in the room. I'm not looking at them as people, individuals. I see a group of people and I say they're all people. Everything I have. I don't see them as individual things. I see them as things. Yeah, got it somewhere? Everywhere you go. Everywhere, they're all places you go. I don't care if they're countries or cities or houses, there are still places you go to. And that's what we're looking at, the similarity between these things. The similarity between these countable things. These things must be countable. You notice I said everyone, everything. I didn't say every money. I didn't say every water. I can talk about it if I change water in a different fashion, but these are for countable things when we say every, okay? The next one we want to talk about is each. Once again, it's for countable things, but unlike every, which talks about everything being similar, look carefully. I've taken these same blocks and they're in a row, so they are a group, but there's a fat one, a skinny one, a skinny one, a tall one, a short one in the grouping. It's still countable things, each, because I have to count the parts in the whole. But right now, it's the individual parts that make it up. I care about the differences. If I were to make a speech to you and I said, everyone in the room today believes money is important, I don't care about each individual. What I care about is the group, the collective. Every. When I say each one of you cares about money, I am recognizing that each individual is not the same. A person with 5 cars is different than a person who has no shoes. And in saying each of you, I'm trying to get across to my audience that I know that you're all different. When I say each time I sing a song, I'm saying each time is different to me, it's special to me. Each one is a different, I don't want to say manifestation. Oh, I said it too late. Manifest is to bring forth or bring alive. Each thing I do is different, okay? So we want to look at the uniqueness of a thing. Pretty cool, huh? So I think, let's just go through this, and it's in a circular fashion, so we'll do it again. We talk about whole, we talk about the complete unit, and we're talking about just countable objects. We talk about entire, where it's the same thing as the whole, it's 100%, but we want to use it for formal, or we want to use it for exclamation. You ate the entire pizza? Is stronger than you ate the whole pizza, you ate the entire pizza, right? Even with that, ire. Funny, in English, ire means angry. So it's like putting more passion in the word, right? The entire room rose, okay? Then we move over to their all, which seems like less formal. It's like, you know, your McDonald's in the neighborhood. Do. It's good for everything. So it's countable as well, but then it also takes in the uncountable nouns. So it's a little bit more general, like a hammer can be used for everything. Then we move over to every. Every is in the same kind of idea, the same kind of pattern. All of the things in this group, we're talking about the small parts of it, but we're saying they're all kind of similar. But they are parts in the group, and we understand that there are parts in this group. It's not like my body isn't just bleh. It's got arms, legs that make it up. But in this case, we're saying they're all similar or have the same value. And then finally we go to each, where we go, hey, hold on a second. An arm doesn't have the same value as a leg. Yes, there are parts, but each part is individual, and we have to kind of understand that. Cool? All right, good. Well, you know what time it is. It's time for us to go to the board, because I know you say you understand it, or at least I think you do. I hope you do. But let's test it. Are you ready? All right, so we're back. So usually I have a bonus. Today I won't do that because I think the lesson is pretty direct. But I will ask you to help me do something, which is correct my mistakes. Okay, so on the board we've got a tale of two stories, or a tale of two cities. The first thing I'd like to do is, before you can help me correct it, because I didn't learn the lesson as well as you did. I mean, I think you're a good student. I want you to help me identify what the mistakes are so we could actually correct it and make it a better story down there. You ready? Let's go to the board. So I go to McDonald's every of the time. Every of the time. That just sounds suspicious, don't you think? So let's look here. I think that's a problem. To get dinner, okay. My favorite thing is the kids' meal. Okay, that sounds okay. My favorite thing is the kids' meal. I can eat each thing in 2 minutes. That seems weird to me. I mean, I don't know why it's wrong. You guys can probably help me with that later on, but that just doesn't seem right. Whole meal comes with a toy to play with. Whole meal comes? Geez, this is horrible. Sure glad you guys are here to help out. What's the next thing? The toys are all different. Okay. The toys are all different. Okay. All one of them has its own number. Yeah. Its own special number. Now let's see. I've identified 4 of these things. Perhaps we can go through what we talked about to see if what reasons it might be wrong. And then we can put these corrections down here. So let's go to the board. I go to McDonald's of the time. Well, I know I probably didn't mention it before, but when we talk about all, we talk about, okay, all the time. Let's put it this way. I didn't mention of, but usually we talk about all. We usually have of. All of the money, all of the time, all of the people. Of means a part of something. So when I say one of you guys, it's one part of a larger group, okay? Each student in Canada, well, there's a student and there's Canada, and there's lots of students in Canada, so it's one part of it, right? So all, when we say all of something, we're talking about all represents the whole group. Remember we talked about that and we used it for countable and non-countable? Now time, can you count time? We can talk about segments of time, like 1 hour, 1 time, but time, there's too much to count. Infinity cannot be counted. So then we have to talk about time as an all, right? Because we didn't say each. We weren't talking about each thing that we're doing. So we're going to say, okay, it has to be a big thing. We know that we can't use entire and whole because they're for countables, but we can use all for this, for it. So I think this will help us here. So I think this is correct that that's wrong. Now what about this one? I can eat the each thing. I can eat the each thing in 2 minutes. I can eat the each thing. Well, it seems that we're talking about one thing because the is an article for one thing, yes? But each is talking about, each of a whole, and then it says thing, not things. So I think we're talking about one thing again. So this might be the entire thing, right? So let's go. I can eat the, we could say, which one could we say? Could we say whole? Maybe. We could say entire because it's talking about thing in 2 minutes, okay? Whole meal comes with a toy to play with. Whole meal comes with a toy to play with. So, Now, we could talk about, this seems to be like similarity. So let me change a couple things here. I'm going to do this in here. So in this one, it seems to be we're talking about complete, okay? So let's just say that. And this one seems to be talking about complete, right? Not parts, but complete. When we talk about this one, it seems that we're talking about parts, but what kind of parts? Are they unique parts or are they same? And I might say whole meal because I think this is wrong. That we're talking about similarity, something similar. Similar, so I-A-R, similar. So we're talking about similar parts, I think. Because it comes with a toy to play with. And whole, they seem to be talking about something bigger. The toys are all different. Okay, that's cool. All one of them has its own special number. Well, this to me speaks and is really clear because one of them, so all is here, but it says one of them, so it's talking about one. So I'm wondering if it's something unique or special, and it's a part. So if I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, these are talking about big things, and we know complete, we know it's whole, entire, and all. And when we're talking about parts of a thing, we know some things are similar, so we want to use every, and some things are special and we want to use each. So I think we've identified what the problems are. So now let's see how we would fill it in and how we would change it with the knowledge we have. Sound good? Well, let's go take a look. First thing, I feel like a waiter. Are you ready, madame and monsieur? Let's go to the board. Now, we had every. What happens if we say, I go to McDonald's? We talked about it has to be for uncountable. And we could say all of the time. That makes a lot more sense, though, doesn't it? I go to McDonald's all of the time to get dinner. Brilliant. Next, my favorite thing is the kids' meal. Okay? I can eat each thing in 2 minutes. And we said, I can eat each thing. How about this? Because we said it's complete. And we can say the whole thing. Now, what happens if we wanted to be like really strong? Remember we talked about ire and being full of power? And we went like this, put an exclamation. We could maybe say the entire thing, right? Entire thing. There's my I with that exclamation. So we can say I eat the whole thing, because I want to say it with power. I can eat the whole thing in 2 minutes. That's pretty cool. All right. Now, let's look at this one. We said whole. Whole are all different. So whole, okay. So let's say whole meal comes with a toy to play with. Whole meal comes with a toy to play with. Now, I know there's more than one meal, and whole meal makes no sense whatsoever. But what happens if we said this? Every. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, why did you choose every and not each? Well, in this case, when I'm talking about the meals, I think the meals are all the same. There's a hamburger, French fries, and Coke, okay? So every meal that has a hamburger and French fries and Coke, and this means I'm talking about the similarity. Maybe you can get the chicken burger, but in my case, what I'm really concerned about with is it's the meal that comes with this stuff. So we talk about similarity. So every meal comes with a toy to play with. The toys are all different. Now, this is a sentence that helps me down here. All one of them has its own special number. So we said all different and special. And if we're going to talk about each one of them, I probably would want to say this. Remember we said this is the funny one? Because it's unique. So we say each one of them has its own special number. What do you think? Okay, so let's look. I go to McDonald's all of the time to get dinner. My favorite thing is the kids' meal. I can eat the entire thing in 2 minutes, or I can eat the whole thing in 2 minutes. Every meal comes with a toy to play with. The toys are all different. Each one of them has its own special number. Like that? I do too. If you try to read the other sentence, you're going to go, oh my gosh, this is terrible. It's horrible, right? I go to McDonald's Let's just stay with this one. And in doing so, because we work together, and I think you can see why we would use the words we do and how they give a greater meaning, and the story becomes much more interesting to the person listening to it, you can start using these things in all the sentences that you do. Now, one of the best ways to do that or try is we're going to give you some homework. Homework's important because by doing the homework, you can improve. It's not just about me telling you. It gives you the opportunity to try out your skill. And one of the best ways of doing it is do the homework, bring it to either YouTube, which is where I am now, and engage other people. Put your sentence in and say, I got this. I ate the entire pizza in 5 minutes. Cool? And maybe someone will go, no, you ate the whole pizza because you didn't put an exclamation mark. You should say whole. And you could say, what about all of it? I ate all 5 pizzas. I'm like, great. Play with it, have fun. Don't forget to do the quiz on engVid. And also you can do the same thing. By engaging in the community, you can learn and have fun and meet some other people you can work your English with. So here's your homework. Write out a story about pizza, because pizza comes in parts and wholes, so we can play with it, right? And try using your new vocabulary. I gave you 3 examples of all of the pizzas. I talked about more than one pizza. Each pizza had a different topping. Now I'm showing the uniqueness of each pizza. Every pizza I order, I save $5. I'm saving about how pizza similarity, but the $5 is what I care about. I've used each one of these in a sentence just now. You can do the same. Anyway, I got to go. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to subscribe. Ring my bell. Ring the bell, subscribe. You'll get the latest video that I do as soon as it comes out. It'll be sent straight to you, like fresh out the oven, like a pizza. Or you can go to engVid, which is www.ing, as in English, vid as in video.com, and take a look at myself and other teachers that are there. Anyway, every time I get the opportunity to work with you, I feel like I'm getting something back. So I thank you for watching these videos, and I look forward to seeing you soon. All right? Have a good one.